dismiss, but
we got to do it. There's a tradition. You high five all the way around, and high five there.
Thank you.
We're used to a few more than that. We've had people in here that gave their first high five ever. So, yeah, I don't know what rock you've been living under if you haven't given a high five. You've obviously never bowled before.
Yeah, we've had one guest before that's never given a high five. It was kind of weird for me to know that. Right?
Yeah. How did the guest do on his first?
It was all right. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Did good. Yeah. Did good. So, excuse me. I'm Pops. Of course, we got Adrian with Cigars and Guns. We have our Cigars and Guns feed, our industrial feed, all of our feeds. I'm going to make sure that I share this with our friends at Newbies, and once I find it, and we normally have a countdown before we do this. But we have a special guest tonight. We have Terry Tompkins.
Yes.
And Terry is here, relatively new to the lounge.
Yes.
So as we talk about Cigar Talk Live is basically an opportunity for us to get together every week, whether people watch it or not. We pull some unsuspecting patron out of the crowd because we're sure that they're very interesting. I happen to know some things that are very interesting about you. And we just sit around and we just do what you would do in a cigar lounge. Just some of these people don't have the ability to be in Frisco, Texas, and at Industrial Cigars. So we thank you guys for joining us. Yeah. So we'll get it started. Terry, you're actually relatively new to ICC.
Yes.
Where are you at kind of in your cigar journey?
I have discovered that price is only an issue in the absence of value. And
that's a great way to put it.
I have gravitated to Byron's and Atabay's as my go-to choice.
Life's too short to smoke bad cigars.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So, are there any? How long have you been smoking cigars?
Oh, I've smoked on and off for years, but until I came into the lounge and found the culture here, I really wasn't smoking on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Now every day I'm grabbing a stick and looking forward to a conversation.
The camaraderie. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's there's so much to be said about the cigar culture.
Yep.
And it is one of the things that I guess good news for us is it's lost in a lot of places. But it's interesting because people originally they'll come into the shop to get a cigar, and then they find out about the culture. Right. But then it becomes the culture's the reason they come to the shop and they grab a cigar because that's what you do.
Right.
So hopefully we're doing a virtual culture setting, so to speak. So again, thank you guys, everybody, for coming in tonight. I'm going to see who we got. We got McClurkin coming in. We have William coming in, and Josh, JD, of course. Brian Burnett is in. Sean Ratz. Are you back from North Carolina? Let me know if you're back. Who I don't see, and we should probably send out a search crew, is Larry and Julie Adams.
Oh, that's right.
Larry and Julie they watch the show constantly. They're from LaGrange, Missouri, and they trekked 11 hours here so that they were here for this weekend's event.
Wow.
And then because of traffic, they were 14 hours back. Wow. But it was great to see them, and for a while we weren't sure if they're going to make it. They ended up making it, and just great people. Maggie and her husband, Preston, came in from Nashville. We had a special event this week with a special guest. Nelson Alfonso, the owner and creator of Atabay and Byron. You had some unique experiences with Nelson. Tell us a little bit about some of the stuff that you did.
If he is not the most wonderful person on the planet, he's in the top 5.
Yeah, easy.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, top 5. Yeah.
What impressed me about him, in addition to his knowledge and passion for the art form for cigar making and appreciating cigars, I was impressed with the fact that he is a pianist
Right.
And he's an artist. He
Amazing
works
artist.
in oil,
Yep.
and, oil paints.
Yeah.
Just an incredible human being. When he was speaking to the lounge, I was sitting up front.
Right.
And since we had spent the
night before,
we
had a dinner with 8 very lucky
very lucky
members here. Got an
Yes.
opportunity to have a private dinner with him.
Yes.
Which you were a part of that too.
Yes,
so.
I was. It was fun because he spent probably about 80% of the time talking to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right, or at least he was definitely looking
Yeah.
at me, and I think we were just continuing our conversation from the night before.
That's cool.
That is. So, what were some of the big takeaways that you took from the time that you spent with Nelson?
I was shocked to learn. I asked him about notes. I was asking specifically, should I be aware of different regions where the tobacco is coming from? Are there notes that he is aware of? Because he can pick out. He can
identify which area of a particular farm.
Right.
What part of the farm that
Right.
certain leaves came
exactly.
from.
Chris has his own cigars that he
Mm-hmm.
had crafted, and Nelson was able, immediately told him not only where his filler was from, but where his binder and where his wrapper was from. Right.
Like 2 puffs.
Yeah. Exactly. So
It's crazy.
I asked, what should I be aware of as a newer smoker, in terms of notes, and he shocked everybody and said, look, I don't really pick up on notes.
Yeah.
I just know taste. I just, it's tobacco to me. That shocked me. And learning about his process, how he cleans his tobacco. I knew that he.
What a great way to put it too is he cleans his tobacco.
Yeah.
It really was. It was really incredible. Adrian, you got to spend some time with him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any? The beauty of it is he sits down with everybody.
Yeah.
And this guy is Nelson Alfonso is an absolute industry icon that nobody knows about.
Right.
And it is so important that he stands behind his cigars. The cigars have to be in the forefront. That's what he wants. He doesn't want to be seen behind the cigar.
Right.
Whereas, contrast that with the rest of the cigar industry, and everybody wants to be out in front.
Right.
Tatted up, out in the front, loud, noisy, boisterous, look at me.
Yeah.
And then they're standing in front of a mediocre cigar.
Sure.
So that was one of the things, one of my biggest takeaways was just his desire to stand in the back. We convinced him on our Saturday at the Shop show. We did this a thing we call Sats Walk every week.
Right.
And he goes, I cannot be in the video. I cannot be in the video. And I said, well, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. You just have to. And he's like, I must love you very much if I'm going to be in this, because I don't want to be on video. And he was right there in the front. So it's just an awesome experience. I see Larry is in, McClurkin is in, Chris Pennington is in, Marty, all you guys are in. Thank you guys. Be sure to share this out. Everybody, feel free to go to your emojis and send a flip off to Brandon, who is living the dream. He is at a 3-day racing school in Arizona, learning how to go fast in cars. So he said he's having the time of his life. So super, super excited for him. He wants to get into racing cars, so this will be a great way for him to get unbelievable instruction. So I'm real happy for him. So be sure to share this. We're talking a lot about Nelson Alfonso, who is visiting here, the owner of Atabay and Byron and Bandolero Cigars. We also got a sneak peek of a new cigar that he's introducing that we'll get in September, called the Alfonso. And Katie bar the doors. I'll put it this way, if all I wanted to sell was one cigar in this store, and the premise of the cigar is it needs to be the best cigar in the industry,
that is it.
That's it.
Yeah.
It is officially the best cigar I've ever had. Brandon agrees with it. I think everybody that is smoking it is blown away. and it is something we're very, very excited about. We'll have 6 sizes, everything from a petite Robusto to a 9-inch 50 ring gauge cigar. So it's
exciting.
It's so good.
Yeah, we can't wait.
I've had some incredible meals at restaurants.
Yeah.
I have a rule. If the first thing I do if I'm at a new restaurant is I scan the menu and look for whatever meal has the chef's name on it or the restaurant's name on it. If they're proud enough to put their own name on it, then I don't care what it is, I'm going to try it. The fact that this is the Alfonso,
it says something.
Says a lot.
It says something for sure. And what's cool is his son is Nelson Alfonso Jr., and so Jr. is now very instrumental in the blending of the cigars, and you can tell he wants to lean a little bit fuller bodied, and you can tell in this particular case, Dad pulled him back and kind of landed right in the middle of an Atabey and a Byron. It's just, it's a beautiful, beautiful cigar.
Perfect combination for sure.
So Julie's in, Frank the Tank is in. Of course, we're missing the Dynamo that we have in Brandon, but we are going to have some fun anyway. If you have any cigar questions, if you have any Nelson questions, we've got that. We do have an event coming up next week. We have our first LFD event. So
cool.
We've had them for 3 years, but this will be the first one. I think there'll be some Andalusian bowls and some other stuff in the house, and it's going to be really exciting. So lots of things that are happening constantly. So one of the things, if we're going to talk a little bit about cigars, one of the things that I've had the opportunity to sit with Nelson for hours and hours and hours. I spent 8 days with him in Cuba. But every time I talk to him, something new comes out. And Brandon asked him the question. We went to dinner one night when he was here and went to my house. We were in the backyard smoking a cigar that he had never smoked with anybody. So he gave us this cigar and he's like, I'm very nervous because we have not smoked this. So we were smoking a cigar. Of course, he nailed it. It was spectacular.
Of course.
But Brandon asked him a great question. What's the most difficult thing about blending a cigar? And, you could say a lot of people will come up with some stuff that is, it's the proper order, it's the proper placement. But his was so unique because he ages his cigars after they're originally blended for a minimum of 4 years, but typically 5 years. He said the hardest thing to do, there's 2 things. Number one is we roll a cigar the way we believe it's going to be right, and we smoke it. And we have to imagine what that cigar is going to taste like in 5 years.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I heard
So
about that.
imagine if you're a wine or you're making a spirit or something, you take that first sip and go, yikes, this is not good. I hope this is good on the other end.
Right.
And now you got to sit and wait. He has had times where he has smoked cigars at 3 and 4 and 5 years in. They weren't right. And he's had to just throw them all away.
Wow.
So now, what we were talking about earlier is they were probably still better than anything else that's on the market. It just didn't meet his requirement. The second one, which I thought was really interesting, is he wants an Atabey to always taste like the first Atabey. The problem is every year the flavor of the individual tobacco changes due to rain conditions, soil conditions, cloud cover, no cloud cover, excessive rain, where the crops rotated the year before because they rotate every 3 years. That tobacco is going to taste different. So every time he has to reblend with the ingredients that he has to get it back to tasting exactly like the original Atabey. Most of these guys, all of the other manufacturers in the industry will merely just say it tastes different because the conditions were different this year,
And they let it go.
and they just let it go.
Yeah.
Right.
But Nelson wants the cigar to always taste like that. He wants it to taste like this. This was the way it started, and then he has to go work with maybe subpar ingredients for that year and try to get it to work in that blend.
Yeah.
That's a level of attention to detail. Just nobody does that. That was.
Yeah.
I didn't want to step on when Nelson was doing his conversation. We mic'd Nelson up and he did a presentation and Brandon asked questions. I didn't want to step on what he was saying, but there were a half a dozen times where he would make a comment, and I don't know that the people that were listening knew that the rest of the industry does not ever do that.
Right.
So while he'll say something like his aging process or how he does his cedar and all of the things to constantly clean the tobacco, people just, you say that and you go, oh, wow, but not knowing that other companies would never do that.
His aging rooms, for example, when he was talking, it's a cedar room, right?
Right.
Sure, a large room with all the cigars, resting and aging. He'll take the cigars out, sand, and you were here for that.
Yeah.
Sands everything,
to expose the aroma.
Yep. And then Brandon asked him, who else does that? He goes, I do. I don't know who else does. And basically he's like, I don't care.
Right.
I do it.
Right. That's
No,
the way
most
it's done.
most of the humidors I've been in the factories in Nicaragua, they just have like Costco metal racks.
Yeah.
Nelson's humidor that he stores the cigars in to age, the floor is cedar. Every square inch of it is 1 inch cedar. It comes from 5 different parts of the world.
Right.
He blends the cedar for his aging process. The right amount of Lebanese cedar and Nicaraguan cedar and American cedar and all these cedars. He blends it to the proper ratio so that there's the right aroma. And cedar cleans. So he raises the humidity to 85%. The cigar that maybe started as a 50 ring gauge has just now expanded to 54. He then dries it out to 40%. Completely dries the cigar out to 40% humidity. It's now a 46 ring gauge cigar. And then incorporates slowly that bringing that humidity back up. It's then sucking like a sponge.
Yes.
All of that cedar in, cleaning the tobacco.
And he goes a step further. Every 6 months, he'll pull all those out. They resand the walls, the floor, the ceiling, everything, and then puts it back in.
Reloads it. Yeah. It's incredible. So if you haven't had an Atabey or a Byron or a Bandolero, do yourself a favor. And the next thing you have to do is if Nelson Alfonso is coming back, which he is one more time this year, be here. It's a top cigar experience.
It really
Julie
is.
was asking when he was coming back. Did he say?
We're thinking it'll be sometime after the show, potentially.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're definitely working on that. He was on a personal level. He was so overwhelmed by how many people appreciate his product. It wasn't, 3 or 4 people that could afford it. We sold 78 tickets the other night. 78. And everybody was there because of him. It was...
And the room smelled great, by the way, because all the smoke in the room was Atabey or Byron or Bandolero. Yeah. And I was overwhelmed at how pleasant it was because
so
of
clean.
that. It was amazing. Oliver, at one point, somebody had asked, who else does that process? Who else cleans the way he does? And Oliver says, there's only one company, or there's only one cigar brand, other than Atabey and Lord Byron, that uses this process. That's Bandolero.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. The cheap stuff. But that's what's interesting is I asked him if it's different tobacco. It's the same tobacco. It just doesn't have the same amount of age. So it just hasn't been cleaned as much. It's still pretty damn good. Yeah. But we got a lot of people coming in. Kevin is coming in from Georgia. How you doing, Kevin? JD is coming in. Just thank you guys for coming in on this Tuesday night. What else is going on, Adrian?
Well, I was going to respond to JD. So he wants to have, he apparently has some Atabey that he's been saving. He wants to come and smoke and, talk guns with us over here. But JD, come in. We'll put you on the show.
Absolutely.
Some Atabays and Top Guns and Cigars.
Yep. Absolutely. Come on in.
Yeah.
What else is going on?
Um,
You out shooting up anything? Doing any country drive-bys or anything? Whatever some of the shit you do
No,
with the
not
Range
yet.
Rover?
Not yet. July 23rd, Brandon has set up a LTC course here with our friend Jeff from our Plano PD officer.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we're going to do an LTC course, which is a license to carry here in Texas. Last time we did it a couple years ago, this back room was full, standing room only. I was able to kind of squeeze in there and take some pictures, but so many people here, and it was a great event. Smoke a cigar, learn how to get your license.
Smoke a cigar and learn how to shoot a gun is awesome. And then we left from there and then go up to the range and get certified.
Yeah,
and
get
do
certified.
our thing.
And so that's July 23rd. I'm sure when Brandon comes back, he'll put some information out on that so we can get y'all to register. But honestly, I mentioned this last Saturday. It's probably a good idea now with just the climate and stuff that's happening right now. Get your license to carry. It makes it that much easier to purchase your next firearm once you have that license to carry license. If you don't have it, we do a background check and all the necessary paperwork, of course, but it takes just a little bit longer.
There's a fringe benefit to having your LTC as well.
Sure.
Because of the background check, I tend to have a lead foot, and I love to drive across the country. I always, when I am stopped, I always got a ticket. The only time that I didn't was I had gotten my license within the past year.
Sure.
And of course, I told the police officer I don't have a weapon in the vehicle. However, here's my license, so that when you run my check and the alarm goes off in your car, you know that I'm not a bad guy. Right?
Yeah.
And I got a warning, right? And they mentioned that in my training that a lot of times, because in order to have a license to carry, you have to have a clear record. You have to be a good guy.
Yeah.
And so if there are other lead-footed people out there, you may want to consider getting a license to carry. I need to renew mine, so save me a spot.
Yeah, so I think it's a prerequisite that you have a lead foot to get on the North Dallas toll road, because it's 80 is not fast enough.
For sure.
Yes.
No, 80 is not fast enough.
Yeah.
So we're going to ask Terry, we have some big questions that we're going to ask you, but before we do that, we thought we would, because you will be judged like nobody is judged, but we thought it might make more sense for them to get a little idea of who you are. I think you're going to be surprised.
Okay.
And because I was.
Okay.
And because you look at him, he just looks like a cigar guy. He looks like a guy that would be toting a gun.
Yeah.
But he does some other stuff.
Okay.
So
You're picking my
Terry, so now what do you do for your day job?
I am changing the future of financial advice.
Perfect.
I lead a team of experts who are paid for our advice on financial planning, business and personal planning.
Okay.
And rather than figuring out ways to sell products, we're paid to write the prescription. And we're completely neutral as a fiduciary. Doesn't matter to us who's going to fill the prescription.
Sure.
We have to be objective in our process. And we call it the level 4 planning process.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So are you a RIA? Are you with a firm? Are you with like an LPL or anybody like that? Or?
We are an RIA.
Okay.
We're in fact the largest RIA connected to a CPA firm. CRI is our parent company, top 20 CPA firm. We have our own broker dealer because we were with a different broker dealer before, and we just weren't getting the back office support and the attention that our clients needed.
Right.
So we acquired a broker dealer, and then we own our own insurance agency, and all just huge teams within our footprint.
Do you guys have a certain asset under management requirement with your clients, things like that?
No. For our ideal clients, it's basically if someone is willing to pay for advice, then we are available to them. We just let people
So
know
do you
it's
give the
available.
advice and they execute, or do you give the advice and execute?
It depends on what the client wants.
Okay.
We have some clients that like to manage their own money, for example, or clients that handle their own. They were P&C property and casualty specialists, or we work with some estate planning lawyers, right? Whatever they do, we do not need to disrupt that relationship. So instead, we supplement. We say, look, this is what's available. Do you need anything? Do you need us to build a team? It is common for clients, especially ultra high net worth clients, they're not used to that experience. You know, you can get a fiduciary, but you got to give them all your money.
Right.
We will serve as a fiduciary regardless of where the assets sit.
Because you're making the recommendation.
That's exactly right. We're going to do our homework. I don't care whose logo's on your statement. I care about how much exposure you have to different parts of the market when I'm thinking investments, or when I'm working on tax strategy or retirement, corporate or personal planning. It's whatever the client wants.
Well, excellent. Well, if you work with poor folks,
Yep.
I might be a potential
I
client.
had a client, a family that when I started working with them had a negative $250,000 net worth, and they paid for the advice, they acted on the advice, and within 7 years we celebrated that they had no debt whatsoever.
Nice.
And they were millionaires.
Nice. All right. Well, good. Now that you can guarantee me being a millionaire, let's go ahead and get signed up.
Yes.
My son Brandon is checking in from the gravel on turn 3, so that must indicate that he was so excited while he was texting and driving at 180 that he forgot to take the corner. So I hope you're having fun, kiddo, and just so excited for you to be out there having a good time.
Yeah.
Enjoy those horses.
Yes, 700 of them underneath that hood. So during the day, this gentleman is making everybody millionaires. I feel
That's the
richer. I feel richer just because we're having a conversation.
Sure.
That's
Sure.
But there's another part of your life that you do,
Yes.
and I've heard some of this. But why don't you tell us some of the other
Sure.
things that you do?
I have to have poet to balance my warrior. I was trained as an artist in acting and in music, and classically trained in both. And I still perform theater. I still perform music. I've been performing music professionally for 30 years, and I found at one point I tried to just focus. I had to do one or the other. I couldn't have a foot in both ponds. My wife came to me one day and said, "Look, you are miserable. You're useless to yourself, so you're useless to us. Please go get a gig." Right?
Yeah.
So I perform publicly and privately throughout the DFW and around the country as well.
But you recently were singing opera for like the Dallas Symphony, wasn't it?
Yes.
So this isn't like he's just grabs a guitar and is playing a honky tonk, down in Deep Ellum.
That's huge.
The guy is singing opera.
Yes.
In that just, I don't mean to judge you, but when I look at you, I just don't see you singing opera.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair
I
enough.
mean, I could see you with the guitar or drumsticks.
Yes.
I used to run a record label, and I would see guys like you walking in with 2 guitars over their shoulders,
Yeah.
and they were going to jam all night, and the only person that was the last one in was the one carrying the booze.
Right.
And that's where they were going to be for the next 2 days. And I saw everybody was Terry Jr. walking in, ready to just jam. So when you said you're doing opera,
Yes.
crazy.
We did
So
that.
we're going to have you soon,
Yes.
playing out front. We want to make sure that we
Yeah.
set the stage correctly.
Yes.
I don't want to just throw him out there and put him on a stool and do our thing. The other thing is we're working very hard to get the space next door. We had some good conversations today.
Awesome.
But we'll actually put a stage up front, so that'll be even better.
Fantastic.
So
Let me ask Terry, are you tenor?
I am. I'm
Love
the
it.
section leader for the Dallas Symphony Chorus.
Love it, love it. I can't wait. I haven't had an uncle that just passed away a couple years ago. He was a professional opera singer in Long Beach, California, head of the Long Beach Opera Guild. I mean, I think his voice, and I know he's my family, but we'd put him up against Pavarotti any day.
Wow.
And he was just beautiful. There's 2 songs in the world that'll bring a tear to my eye. Maybe a little bit more than just a tear. It's Taps and Ave Maria. And whenever he sang Ave Maria, he was singing funerals and military, funerals as well. When I hear that voice, or just the song in general,
Yeah,
I'll lose it.
it's beautiful.
do you have a particular artist that you kind of look at and go, that's how I got to shoot my target?
Ironically, the artists that I gravitate to are not the vocal. I appreciate a good voice, period. I'm a huge fan of the conductors. I had the privilege to be under Jaap van Sweden's baton, and Fabio Luisi is our current lead conductor at the Dallas Symphony Orchestra.
Okay.
By being able to perform under a great conductor's direction is a whole nother experience, because it's not a matter of them controlling everything. It's a matter of them inviting the musicians into the experience that they have in their head, right?
Right.
That just blows me away, and it inspires me in my day job, right?
Yeah, right.
Right, because my job, I don't need to know all the answers. I need to know who I'm going to ask, and I've learned so much from being a part of that experience. That teaches me how to lead. As I'm a good follower.
And what you're doing, what it sounds like you're doing on in the afternoons, is you have this symphony of players that all have different things, but when it all comes together, it's amazing.
Absolutely.
But I ran a record label for a while, and the owner of the label, as well as the primary artist, a gentleman named Chip Davis, to watch him compose some of his more classical stuff,
Right.
and the way he's able to compose this for the oboe, this for the violins, and he just hears that instrument and just brings the artist in to record that instrument,
Yes.
and then is able to put all that together, and you're like, that was what that plus that plus that plus that equals,
Right.
and he just hears it in all those different. It's like Nelson with tobacco. It's
exactly.
just, and it was so natural. It's there's nothing more mesmerizing than watching an artist, whether they're drawing or playing or whatever the case may be, because they make it look so effortless. And those of us that can draw a circle sometimes, it's just an awesome thing. So
Sure.
That's so cool.
It is so cool. So is there a particular song, an opera type song, that is one of your favorites that just...
My favorite song, especially to sing, is actually 18th century song, Italian song, Caro mio bene. It's so expressive. It has a wonderful range to it, and the dynamics when a truly talented singer is able to master that song, it takes you all the way through everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You want to sing any of it?
Not right now. Haven't warmed up.
You have to warm up.
I can, but I haven't been paid.
Oh, that's fine. All right. So
Is
it's
one-
a profit deal, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Well, Glenn Campbell said, "Don't give it away for free," and I think he's spot.
Glenn's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah. And I may, butcher the name of the song, but Panis Angelicus?
Mm.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
Okay. That's another beautiful song. I'll have something
Absolutely.
lined up when you come out here.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
Requests.
There you go.
Hey, look, he sat down with a guitar and just started playing some stuff that, you know, Dave Matthews and none of these guys have anything on him. So we want to make sure that we set the stage right for him, and that he gets the proper attention, proper audience.
I appreciate that, Dave.
So we want to make sure that's here. But
Can't wait.
now is really the time
Yeah.
where, you know, people can judge. They've identified him as interesting.
Cultured.
Definitely one of the most interesting people we've ever had on the show.
Yeah.
Right? Definitely classes this act up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, by a long way.
Glad to be part of the process.
But there is what we call the big three that's kind of turned into the big five.
Yeah.
But there's questions that we ask that people are already coming in going, oh boy, I can't wait to see this. Because we have a lot of regulars here that watch this. So we're going to ask you some questions. The world is going to judge you on those.
Please.
And, you know, you have to tell the truth because it's the internet. So, so question number one. Scale of 1 to 10. Where do you stand on Sasquatch?
Sasquatch. Ooh. I'm going to say I stand at a 6. And the reason why I don't have more conviction is that there have been so many attempts to find Sasquatch, similar to ghost hunting, right?
Right.
I don't have the evidence, right? Faith is believing something without evidence. Knowing is when you have evidence to support your faith. So I have no question in my mind. There's so much unexplored territory out there. I think it's absolutely, it makes sense to me that Sasquatch is out there. He's an incredible, elusive animal. Definitely
the hide and seek champion of the world.
Yeah, he's one.
Now, Adrian is a hard 0. Now, the scale was 1 to 10.
Right.
He's 0.
Okay.
And until he shoots it,
Yes.
or at least gets a good shot off at it, then, but I think even if he was in the woods and he saw one, he's pretty sure if he took a shot, Sasquatch would automatically be speaking country.
Yeah.
Going, hey boy, what you shooting at me for?
Right.
So I could see something like that happening. But a 6, that's 6. I'm kind of in the same 6-7 range. I had an experience as a young child. We were, my uncle was a sheriff in, or my dad's uncle was a sheriff in an area down south of Omaha called Nebraska City, which is actually where Arbor Day started. So it's very, very dense forest. And we got a call. We drove down there. It's about 60 miles south of Omaha. And we got down there where we witnessed these basically tracks going through a watermelon field. And it had stepped on watermelons. And, you know, watermelon, you got to give that thing some jam to get that thing to crack.
Yeah.
These things were splattered like water balloons.
Wow.
And so they were on their chase to go do this. Now I was 12 years old, so I was convinced that something was out there, and I don't spend a lot of time in the woods since then.
Well,
so
you've got some evidence to support your faith.
there is some evidence. Of course, the doubter over here says we have all this 4K fancy video. How come all the videos are blurry?
Right.
Which is a good point.
Valid.
What I don't understand is they shoot. There are some that are actually pretty clear video, but all of a sudden Sasquatch starts running away. Well, obviously he's scared, so why wouldn't you chase after him to at least see if there was any footprints or anything left there?
Yeah.
That's the one thing I kind of thought. But hey, look, somebody's making a lot of money chasing Bigfoot on television, so I'm not mad at him.
Right.
I'm not mad at him at all. William is with you.
Yeah.
So he's
Saw that.
just an extreme doubter.
Thank you, William.
And Jim Trader is saying, show me the bones.
Yeah.
So he wants to see the bones.
But how if you have the bones, or if you shot Sasquatch, how can you be confident that what the evidence that you have is not simply a giant? What if it's just somebody who's 8 feet tall and very hairy?
Yeah, then we have a problem. I'll be talking to the local police.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a risk.
Yeah.
It is. It's a risk, but if you follow that evolution chain, there was one in there that did look like a Sasquatch. Down the chance they may still be sticking around.
Yeah.
Monkeys are still here. There's these Amazon catfish that look like they were on Jurassic Park. So
certainly
who knows?
Yeah. So we have a member here, Mark McClurkin, certified Sasquatch hunter.
Yeah.
He's been following the whole realm of Bigfoot for years.
Yeah.
He's a believer for sure.
But he's an animal biologist by trade. I mean, he just calls it a monkey.
Yeah.
He's going to go monkey hunt.
Yeah.
But he has a place up in Oklahoma, and he's had rocks thrown at him. He's been very close to where he could hear breathing. It's been close when it's howled. He's got recordings.
He's got recordings and all sorts of stuff. So if you talk to him, of course he's
got
on a
evidence.
scale of 1 to 10, he's a 20.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And however, he did invite us and a few others on a trip with him to Oklahoma on his property to experience that, and we're in. Just let us know.
And what's interesting is, like he says, the odds that there's a group of guys out there just waiting for somebody to show up to this area, it takes an hour to get the last mile because of the terrain that they have to roll over. So it's not like guys going, hey, let's go sit out in the woods and wait for these suckers to come down here. Maybe they'll shoot us.
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of moonshine down there, but I don't know how much you get drink where somebody goes, hey man, put on the costume and go out and see if somebody shoots at you. We are in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Where did he get certified? Did he mention?
I'm not sure, but he is. He definitely treats this just as just another species, but they've taken multiple guys out there. They've gotten multiple samples that they've sent in for. And the thing is Mark is one of these guys that he wouldn't lie about a
he doesn't
thing.
strike me.
So he's a believer, and it is what it is.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So. Good, 6.
Yeah, that's good.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
I'm okay with that.
So why don't you give him number 2?
Yeah. I kind of have a feeling where we're at with this. You kind of alluded to it earlier. No, I'll say the 3rd.
Yeah.
The second question, same scale. Where do you stand with UFOs?
UFOs. So, I'm going to put that at a 5.
All right.
And the reason why I say that is the government is now acknowledging video that could. Part of me says, well, you got some evidence there. At the same time, I recognize the government would not really want to acknowledge everything that they have. They tend to not show their cards.
Yeah.
And they also don't want to admit if private industry has capabilities beyond their own.
Right.
So even with the evidence, it's still, I still am not, I can't be confident that I actually have evidence to it. Now I will say this, the idea that human beings are animals, we forget that a lot.
Yeah.
We are animals, and we say that we're the only ones that are capable of everything we do. Just because we can't communicate with other animals the way we communicate with each other doesn't mean that they are not communicating, right? There was an interesting documentary on Netflix called Fantastic Fungi, and one point that they brought up is that mushrooms communicate. They have for miles. They have a network of root systems. Trees will tap into that in a grove, and they will send nutrients to other trees that are not doing well because it's good for the growth, and they send information that way, right? Now this is a plant that we claim has no sentience, and yet they're capable of doing this.
Yeah.
All of that's happening here on our planet. To me, the idea that we are the only that we are the highest evolved animal, and that it's only capable that it would happen here on Earth out of the billions and billions of options out there.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing that we are the only life form, advanced life form in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's where I won't be shocked when we learn that there are more advanced extraterrestrials out there. It'll probably be someone like Elon Musk. It'll be somebody,
Right.
their version of someone who has the resources to go explore and find out.
Oh, Dave has a theory. If you want to explain.
Yeah,
that.
I believe that we're currently being visited by aliens, and that's they're all redheads. Because if you've ever really spent a lot of time with redheads,
Okay.
particularly females, there's no other explanation than
I see.
they're aliens.
Huh, I had not
Yeah,
considered that.
I just next time you talk to it,
Okay.
if you'll notice, it's the only hair color that people have conventions. There's not like a brunette convention. There's redhead conventions. So I think that's where a lot of
Interesting.
the takeover plans are coming from.
Okay.
And then, but if you just look at Hollywood, and it's in the artistic realm.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably all part of the mind training that they're doing for us. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
That's fair.
You know, and I think Elon Musk and Gates and those guys, they're all aliens. They have to be.
They have to.
I'm pretty convinced.
Yeah.
But you gotta believe. We do have people sweating their ass off, smoking a Definition Blue Band, and some bourbon. Good day, Jesse. So thanks for coming in, guys. It's Cigar Talk Live. If you do have if you want to interrupt things and just ask us a question about cigars, we'll make up something. It'll sound like it's the truth, and let's just go with that. Before we get into the third question, we've had a fourth one that has stimulated a lot of attention recently on the show, and this is where you guys can become very interactive. But last show we talked about the 70s.
Okay.
Now you're a young man.
Yes, I'm 50. I turned 50 last year.
50. Okay, so
I'm
you're
a child of the 70s.
So you're a child of the 70s, but conscious in the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at that age where, you know, certain posters and stuff had a different impact on you when you were in your early 80s.
Yes.
So, who was the hottest actress in the 80s?
Cheryl Teagues.
Cheryl Teagues.
Yes. That poster.
Yes.
In particular.
Yeah.
I had a fondness for it. I had a relationship with her through that poster, which was apparently just an easy setup. You know, it wasn't a huge elaborate shoot that took place that day.
Yeah.
So it was her just kind of hanging out.
Yeah, she doesn't need to throw on a lot of makeup to get ready.
No, she's beautiful.
So that's the question to you guys. And some of these women were in popular movies. So
Yeah.
what were some of the icon movies of the 80s that there was one or two just hot women in it that made you, even if the movie was bad,
You had to watch.
you
the
still
movie.
had to watch it?
Yes.
Now, one for me was Weird Science.
Oh,
yeah, that's
yes.
exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, Weird Science. Although I liked the movie because it had a Porsche 928 in it, and that was one of the reasons I wanted that car.
Yes.
But Weird Science. What was that girl's name?
Kelly LeBron.
Kelly LeBron. She was nice.
I wonder what she looks like now.
Some of these
Maybe
some
we
of
don't
these
wanna
girls
know.
have some of them have aged well, and some of them look like they might have had a Krispy Kreme pop open right next
Yeah.
door. Just saying. What about you? What were some of your favorite movies in the early 80s?
In the early 80s, Risky Business.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Another Porsche 928.
Yes, absolutely. Let me think.
Side note,
Yes.
the Porsche 928 that was in Risky Business went across the auction blocks last year,
Okay.
Now, a Porsche 928 sells for between 15 and if it's in really good shape, $25,000-$30,000. What do you think that the Porsche 928 from Risky Business
From
went
that movie.
I'm going to throw out $481,000.
Yeah,
for? 481.
I'll say 482.
482.
With the
$1. $1. No. 1.9 million.
Wow.
Shit.
$1.9 million.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's
So we got
insane.
Kelly LeBrock, Stephanie Powers. Yee, she
Yeah.
moved in real close to Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Let's,
She's
let's
she went with the schmedium dress on that one.
let's keep the
Yeah.
80s Kelly
Karate
LeBrock.
Kid and Rocky IV. Rocky was a great movie. Now I think that was in the 70s. but
My
Rocky
daughter,
was a great-
is named Adrian,
Really?
specifically for Adrian.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
Were you named Adrian after Adrian?
No, it was named Adrian. Just I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's a good name. It's a good name.
What were other iconic movies of the 80s? Speaking of UFOs, Close Encounters.
Uh-huh.
That kind of had me going there for a while.
It was good.
Yeah, I saw that a few years ago and was really impressed at how it stood the test of time.
Still had held out.
Yeah.
There are some movies. Top Gun. If you haven't seen the new Top Gun, it is freaking awesome. I think it's better than the first one. But my wife is 14 years younger than I am, so she never saw Top Gun.
Okay.
So when so we were going to go see Top Gun, so we went and we watched it at the house, the original, the night before. I'm glad we did because it kind of connected some dots that I had forgotten over the last 30 years. But the original still holds water, which was very interesting. But the new one, if you haven't seen it, it's awesome. If you have seen it, give us a thumbs up. What are some other, there was a period of time there in the late 70s and early 80s when a lot of great comedies were out. The Jerk and Caddyshack and some of those started coming up. And they all had their little, somebody that maybe wasn't so famous at the time, but there was always one little hot one in there, even in like Caddyshack. Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's her name? Sigourney Weaver?
Yes.
When she looks, when she can kind of skank herself up a little bit.
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed with her.
Yeah, the one movie she came out with, was it, Schwarzenegger.
Was Schwarzenegger?
Was this?
Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah, that one.
Yes. They're both spies.
Yes.
Oh,
assassins.
yeah.
She's in the bedroom and yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
probably the last time she
I went-
to the top.
Okay. Ron Hancock just nailed it. Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh yeah.
Trading Places, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Her in Halloween, her debut.
True Lies.
True Lies. That's
That's
it.
it, yeah.
True Lies. Yes. Her debut, she was incredible, and then she just took off like a rocket after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also like 9 to 5 because there weren't a lot of women empowerment movies, especially for that era. Right. And Dolly in particular, I've always been a Dolly fan.
Yeah.
And
She looks exactly the same as
she's brilliant.
Yeah.
What a wonderful human being. Working Girl's another good one. What I liked about Working Girl was you got to see what the rules were for women in business at that point, and then to see how she was able to overcome. Yeah, that was a good story.
Yeah. So the 80s also was a time for a launch pad for a lot of people. You think about it, whether it's actors or actresses, if you go back and see some of these early movies, what were teen actors then have gone on to, so many of them have gone on to just bigger and better roles.
Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, original Ghostbusters. So, we're going to ask you the third question.
Okay.
Third question. Ghosts, apparitions,
Right.
do they exist? 1 to 10. Part 2, spirits.
Okay. So ghosts, as our society talks about them, I'm going to give a 0.
0.
Now, and the reason why I say that is in around the mid 1800s was when seances as a social fun thing to do, especially for the upper class.
Yeah.
That a lot of what we think about ghosts actually was really established at that point. Now, in terms of spirits, I'm going to say a 10, and the reason why I say that is if you think about energy, if you think about life as a life force as an energy is never destroyed. It is converted into Connecticut.
Into Connecticut.
Into
yeah.
Connecticut.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's where
lots
the
of spirits.
aliens all live
Yeah,
too. By the
right.
way.
So it's either kinetic energy or it's potential energy. So to me, it makes sense that there is a life force that goes beyond our human bodies, and it makes sense to me that that there would be limited ability because of our own limitations as we're living and breathing, that there would be spirits that would try to connect with us for whatever reason.
Have you ever had any experiences, anybody pass in your life that pops in, does something happens where you're like, oh, hold on, what's going on?
We had in my wife's family, there have been a few instances where Uncle Bill seems to have been making a connection. Uncle Bill was a great human being, one of the most wonderful people in the world, and we lost him too early. My wife was connected deeply to Uncle Bill, and she's had some experiences that it makes more sense that was Uncle Bill than not.
Really, yeah.
We had another experience where a friend of her family had passed away, and we're inside the house in her mother's house in her brother's room, and the doors opened, and you could feel something was going on. We didn't know what was up. I don't know. Maybe the foundation settling. Who knows what that was?
Yeah.
We found out the next day that he had passed away, and we did a little homework and realized that when we experienced that, it was just after he had passed, right? So those are the two that come to mind. Or those are the examples.
So that to me, and that we've done, I don't know how many of the shows we've done, but for the people that have had experiences, there's some pretty incredible stories that have happened. That is just, it's crazy. Was it? It was tight. It was Rashad.
Tight. Yep.
Yeah, he had lost a friend, but they always used to, when they were teenagers, they would always be playing outside, and they would walk down the same street that they all lived on this street. So they'd walk down the street. Well, after he had passed, him and his friends, this is years later, him and his friends were on that same street, and all the street lights were out, and as they walked, each light turned on as they walked underneath it. So you could say it's a motion detector or something,
Well,
but he said they were just turning on as they walked down the street.
Yeah, one of the comments was motion detection, but I think he said this was like in the 80s, probably 90s.
Yeah, before that one.
And that technology was not available then.
Yeah, and it was lighting as they were walking under these lights.
And why would the city invest in a small neighborhood or in a neighborhood.
No, and that's just it.
Yeah,
yeah.
that
So
doesn't really make
just
sense.
very a lot of interesting things like that. We, you know,
Yeah.
and everybody has people that pass and they come to you in dreams and things like that. My wife and her culture, they believe in dreams. Like it's like my wife will have a dream that I do something stupid in, and then she's pissed off at me.
You're in trouble.
So
yeah.
and it's like but I didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, so you know it's
Sure you did.
but there's plenty of ways to get in trouble.
I think
so.
I'm that outlier. One, because I've had obviously, you know, family members pass away, but I've never had them, you know, come back and in any form, unfortunately. Two, I don't remember my dreams. I'll have a dream and it's very vivid at the time I'm having it, but when I wake up, nothing. But Kathleen, she's like, I had this dream, same thing, right? You were wearing a red shirt, fucking black shorts, white shoes, super detailed.
Super focused.
And I did this, and now I'm pissed off at you. And I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah. I've found that because I try to control me as much as I can when I'm conscious,
Yeah.
and I've come to terms with the fact that I can't even control me all the time. Therefore, I've given up trying to control anybody else. It took me a while. It took me decades to come to that realization. I discovered that in dreams, I don't do bizarre things. I tend to act the way I do in dreams, the way I do in real life. The only exception is I can, occasionally I'll have dreams where I'm able to jump and then glide and get caught up in air drafts.
Really?
Where I'm not really flying more than I'm gliding.
Yeah.
And I am going to land again. But occasionally I'll have a dream where I'm doing that, and then I'll realize, oh, hey, I'm dreaming, and then I get to control it a little bit, but it never lasts long.
Yeah, never.
That would be
The
cool.
good ones never last long enough.
Right.
No, to me, it's like it's my dreams that I do remember is I'm falling off a cliff, and then you land before you hit. You wake up, and that I wake up, and because I was falling. But that's it. I don't know details, nothing.
I had a couple years ago a stepson that passed away, and so I'm the same way. I don't remember dreams, but he came to me in a dream, and I remember everything about that dream.
That's beautiful.
Which is very, and when my dad passed, same thing. I remember those very specifically. The one with my dad, I have a door off my bedroom that goes outside, and he actually came in that door, so met me in my room. So it had this surrounding thing. The other one was a house that that Nick grew up in when he was younger, and it just the symbolism of it all just kind of painted a picture that was safe.
Yeah.
But those I remember very well, but 99.9% of the rest of them, you know, I just hope I don't have bad dreams. That's the only thing is I know, like when our granddaughter, I don't know what she just watches cartoons, but man, she's having some dreams in the middle of the night. And she just starts wailing on it. It's like, all right, I'm gonna go sleep upstairs. Yeah, forget this. But so our last question, and I think he probably knows at his core what he is. But what is your spirit animal?
The mockingbird.
The mockingbird.
That was super.
That was pretty quick. You thought about this.
It took me 10 minutes to figure mine out.
Yeah. No, I'm connected to them. They're migratory, and I have wanderlust. They learn other bird songs, and I can appreciate that. One of the songs that I've written was actually a mockingbird taught me. I was out on my patio playing guitar, and a mockingbird started singing, and I found the notes that the mockingbird was singing, and I did some variations, and the whole song came out of that.
That is so cool.
I want to go home and Google you or Spotify or something. Can we find your?
Yeah, I'm on Spotify and YouTube, and basically my music's anywhere you like to stream music.
Love it. I'll be listening to that on the way home.
You have to spell my last name correctly, so it's TERRY THOM
William.
PK
PK.
INS.
INS.
William says 2 months later, and he still hasn't figured out his spirit animal yet. And Chris Coulter is 1 hour and 40 minutes into the KBF Gold label. And yes, it is a finger burner. It's one you don't want to you don't want to miss on that.
That whole lineup that you have right there is pretty awesome.
This is the whole. This is a lineup that is for you.
Oh, thank you.
Which one of those do you want?
I mean, DC's
Perfect.
Yeah.
DC, and I'm going to do a Jake White lithium.
Nice.
So, unless we've got anything else, Adrian, I think tonight was a successful show. Was this painful?
No, I feel that I'm a better person for having.
And that's a first.
That's a first for all you guys that are watching this. We're all better people because of the show.
Yeah.
I mean,
and we're not dumber.
No,
I feel smarter tonight.
We've had two people that we've attempted to have on the show. One completely said, no, I'm not coming to the show. I cannot do it.
Can't get in front of me.
Another one sat here with us. She lasted the whole show. Nicole, who works here. And I don't know if you know this, but she's never smoked a cigar.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
Never. We were planning to have her smoke her first cigar. She had one. It was cut.
It was lit.
It was lit.
Yeah. But we did every peer pressure tactic that we used in high school, and she wouldn't buckle. But she will have one someday. But
One day.
she was petrified to be on air. So Brandon was nice enough to just say, "Hey Nicole, can you sit down so we can get focused real quick?" Boom, we're started. So she was like, "I'm going to kill you guys."
Right.
But as the night went on, she's like, I'm literally sweating. This is terrifying. But it was a good time. Tonight this is a first. Julie says, very interesting show, which really makes me wonder what the rest of them are.
I mean, we've had the same questions. Obviously, we have different guests on, and so we have to say Terry was very interesting tonight.
Well, I'm glad to be of
We appreciate
service.
that, yeah.
Thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Thank you.
And you can send us a bill. We're just not going to pay it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'd rather you owe it to me than cheat me.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So with that, thank you very much, Adrian. Of course, thank you.
Thank you all.
We appreciate you guys spending your Tuesday night with us, just hanging out, doing what we do in the lounge, sit and talk about Sasquatch and UFOs, just like every other cigar lounge on the planet. But we appreciate you guys are with us. Be sure to watch us, Adrian, tomorrow night.
We stopped that show.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we used to do the
Don't
Little League
watch
show. We're going to revamp it here soon, but catch us on Saturday.
Saturday at the shop.
Yep.
And then we will soon be launching a new show called Frakes Boys 4.
I've been
Which
hearing that for a while.
was my that comes from my original AOL email address. It was Frakes Boys 4.
Wait a minute.
Because there's 4 of us, yes, and
You got mail.
I've got mail. And so Frakes Boy 4, we will throw a picture out on the table of something that we did stupid when they were kids, and we're just going to talk about it, and it should be.
Cannot wait.
Yeah, collective IQ in that group is 98, I think, if you do the math right.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be, you're not going to get any smarter watching that show. But we appreciate you watching tonight's show. Brandon, hurry home, but have fun racing around the track tomorrow. We'll see you Wednesday night.